Machiavelli. He says that there is no right or no wrong. It's he who has the biggest guns who determines what's right and what's wrong. But to us, it meant that if you're in powder, you got to be vicious.
Leroy Nicholas Barnes was born October 15th, 1993, in Harlem, New York, better known as his street name, Nicky Barnes, or Mr. Untouchable. Actually intelligent, but he left home early to escape his abusive alcoholic father, turning into a drug dealer for income. Barnes himself became an addict as well, using heroin for several years in his early 20s. He went to prison, and Sing Sing is where he met Crazy Joe Gallo, a couple in the Colombo crime family, as well as Matthew Madonna, a heroin dealer for the Lucchese crime family. The mafia ran New York with an iron fist, even though they ain't supposed to dibble and dabble in drugs. They did, and the ones that did made a lot of money. But the Italians couldn't get caught dealing drugs because death was the penalty. So most of the time, they will find a trustworthy African-American man to distribute it for them. And this is where Nicky Barnes came into play. Gallo wanted to have a presence in the heroin trade in Harlem because he knew the money was booming. Everybody was blowing up, especially the ones that were selling dope. So when him and Nicky Barnes linked up, it was like a match made in heaven. Gallo used one of his lawyers to put in a pill for Nicky Barnes that secured his release, and as well as Nicky Barnes' loyalty to him. Once he returned to New York City, he began to assemble his personal team. He labeled the Council. He felt like he was ready to take over Harlem. The Italian-American mafia strategies and the way they ran their business, he felt as if he can apply their rules to his mafia. And he labeled theirself and their crew the Council. His partnership with the Italian-American mafia was something out of this world because he was getting the dope pure from them. But they didn't supposed to be dealing dope. So they was getting it off to Barnes for as cheap as possible, just for a quick payday and to save themselves from getting killed. The Council consisted of 7 men: Barnes, Joseph Jazz Hayden, Wallace Wright, Thomas Gaps Foreman, Ishmael Muhammad, Frank James, and Guy Fisher. Around this time, Barnes had been given the name Mr. Untouchable. He was a dominant figure in the Harlem drug trade. He had successfully beaten numerous charges and arrests, paying high-priced lawyers to make the charges go away. Trial was nothing to him, and he loved the fame and the flash. But with all the fame and the flash came the FBI. In 1977, they played a trick on Barnes and asked the New York Times magazine to interview him. After he invited them over and did the interview, the New York Times stabbed him in the back and labeled him Mr. Untouchable. It had a mugshot of Barnes in front of the courthouse, but the newspaper article read loud who he was. He wasn't a businessman or some entrepreneur. He was a drug dealer on the face of the New York Times. President Jimmy Carter, at the time, assembled a team to take down Barnes, and their top priority was to get him at all costs. Barnes was sharp, and he set up companies to protect some of his assets, such as numerous properties and car dealerships, which appeared to be rental services. But the FBI, along with the DEA, eventually discovered the true ownership of the companies and seized the vehicles. Barnes had a lot of flashy cars: Bentleys, Mercedes-Benz, Maseratis, Caddies, even a Ford Thunderbird. His network had reached over 50 million at the height of his career. The council was 7 members, and each member had 12 spots, and each spot had 50 workers. These guys was out of control. They had neighborhoods in the smash, and they controlled the drug trade. They didn't just have a block, they had the whole neighborhood. And they also supplied the work and the workers. So they was getting fucking every penny off a block. And there was 7 of them, all raking money in under the same umbrella. So this was some shit nobody never saw before. So when the FBI came, they came for real.
Leroy Nicky Barnes, who for 7 years in the 1970s was godfather of the largest and most profitable heroin selling operation in the history of New York City. Between 1973 and 77, Barnes was arrested variously for homicide, bribery, drug dealing, and gun possession, but none of the charges stuck. He became a Harlem legend and very rich, and whatever he had, he flaunted, be it women or Rolls Royces.
But this ain't the end of Nicky Barnes' story. After he was arrested and apprehended by the FBI, Barnes sat in jail for a while and discovered that his assets were not being maintained and properly distributed by the council. He got locked up in an indictment, but the other 6 members weren't. In 1978, January, Barnes was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole for several drug-related crimes. He took it on the chin, and he was serving his time. But things wasn't working out with the crew while he was away. He discovered that one of the council members and close friend, Guy Fisher, was having an affair with one of his girls. This really hurt Barnes, because he was doing life in the can. And the couple of girls he did have, he was trying to maintain, or at least still have them in his life. And if niggas was gonna fuck them, let other niggas fuck them, not none of the council members. That was one of the golden rules. And Barnes felt betrayed, and the council and its members stood by their rules. So when the rule was broken, all bets was off. Leroy Nicky Barnes, Mr. Untouchable, decided to become a federal informant.
Though Barnes says now he began to talk against his former drug associates like Fisher out of a motive of revenge, it soon became apparent that freedom was mostly on his mind. And since Barnes knew he could only be released through a presidential pardon, he understood that the government wanted more from him. So he testified before the President's Commission on Organized Crime, wearing a hood.
Very attractive woman. And in New York, there are several million eligible men. Now, I told her that we have a hands-off policy to about 20 of them. Now, the other 4 or 5 million that are out there, do your own thing. But you know, try and be discreet with whatever it is you decide to do.
From prison, Barnes would call his former friends in the street collect. And through them, he was able to have followed 24 hours a day. The trails soon led to a drug dealer named Tito Johnson.
So I called one of my buddies, you know. And he said, yeah, he said, Nick, he said, yeah, she was on 7th Avenue. In your Mercedes, in your white Mercedes. And he said, I didn't even see him. They called me to the car. He said, Tito called me to the car because he wanted me to see that he had your woman. And Tito was driving my cars. He never had a foreign car. He was a Buick Oldsmobile man.
And that began to eat on you.
Yeah.
And that eventually led to that call to Bill Tendy.
Yeah.
William Tendy is executive U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York. The call to him was made by Barnes from the Terre Haute Federal Prison in Indiana.
Tell me what it is you have in mind.
There were a couple of friends of mine that were supposed to be doing things for me, you know.
Yeah?
Well, they're doing things against me, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no way to reach out to get to them, and I want to get back at them, really.
Mm-hmm.
That's my primary reason. See, the thing that held me together was my values. And I was tied into the criminal ethics, the street corner values that I had, the oath of brotherhood, the warmth and loyalty that I thought flowed between council members or among the council members and myself. That was
The first time I heard of council was when I was in court in 1983.
Guy Fisher, who had a brief affair with Barnes' former girlfriend, Shemeka, was a member of that 7-man drug council, according to Barnes. Fisher is now serving life without parole after Barnes testified against him.
You mean to tell me that you can give someone a life plus sentence because you said he had sex with my girlfriend?
And he's putting people behind bars, helping to make cases for the feds.
There is no justice in terms of that. Ah, man. I mean, 8 years ago, Nick was the scum of the earth in terms of court, being in the courtroom, in Judge Worker's court. And then 3 years ago, he became Robin Hood because he was telling. It's really sad, you know. I'm laughing, but it's sad.
Nicky Barnes turned informant. Things got ugly for the New York drug trade because he was knee deep in it. He even decided to flip on the Italian mafia. He wore a hood during his testimony, hiding his face because he knew he was a marked man. Nicky Barnes was now the most infamous rat in New York history. He helped bring down his supplier along with his crew, Crazy Joe. He also brought down other council members and had a hard-on for Guy Fisher for him fucking his girl while he was away. Guy Fisher denied these allegations and said that he just used that as an excuse to tell. But who knows? Guy Fisher ended up getting a long sentence. And Nicky Barnes went into the witness protection program.
I'm a bookmaker, and right now on camera I want to lay you 9 to 5 that Nicky Barnes, Leroy Barnes, gets out of jail.
New York gangster Herbie Sperling spoke with Barnes when they were in prison together in New York. And they worked out a drug deal at Barnes' suggestion that eventually resulted in the conviction of Sperling's son.
I'm doing the same sentence that Nicky Barnes was doing, life without parole. I've got it the longest in the country. It's worse than a death sentence. A death sentence, you're dead, life goes on. Here you linger, and sometimes people get depressed. Now, some people get so depressed that they decide to make up a story.
You think he's going to get out?
There's no doubt in my mind. The government has to let him out. This is part of their propaganda ploy. What they're saying is anybody that wants to get out, just make up stories about a lot of people. We got plenty of room. We got a lot of prisons. We'll replace them with you, and we'll let you out. No matter what you did, no matter what you do.
Talked to old pals of his who are now in Lewisburg prison. They said, listen, he's a snitch. He'll be on the street in no time. They really believe that the only reason that he did it was not because he got religion, but because he wants to get on the street and that you're going to help him do just that.
I think that the realistic situation here has to be that when people turn in, organizations like this account for 50 people being convicted. Everyone he's testified against has been convicted and their case has been upheld on appeal. There has to be some reward for that. That's the only way we can combat this kind of activity.
Barnes gave the FBI 109 names. 5 of them was council members, along with his wife's name as well, implicating them all in illegal activities related to the heroin trade. Barnes helped indict 44 others in trafficking, 16 of whom were ultimately convicted. In his testimony, he implicated himself in 8 murders. While in prison, he also won a national poetry contest for federal inmates and earned a college diploma with honors and taught fellow inmates English. So he was a model prisoner during his cooperation. Rudy Giuliani sought a reversal of Barnes' life sentence. He testified in several mafia trials. Eventually, Barnes was resentenced to 35 years. By working in jail, he earned 2 months off his sentence. For every one he served, was released in August 1998 into the Federal Witness Protection Program. Barnes died from cancer on June 18, 2012 in the Witness Protection Program. But he had a fake name, so it didn't become public until 2019. But this story doesn't end here. In 2020, Guy Fisher applied for a compassionate release under provisions of the First Step Act, citing his age and health conditions and decades already served in custody. On October 9, 2020, Judge John F. Keenan of the Southern District of New York granted the motion, reducing Fisher's life sentence to 35 years, time served. An opinion of the court noted Fisher's educational accomplishments, his records of mentoring other prisoners, and his demonstrated rehabilitation ruled this necessary. On October 28, 2020, Fisher was released from federal prison. See how life works? Guy Fisher had life in prison, ended up getting a compassionate release, and came home. Nicky Barnes got out and died of cancer. This dude did a 30 ball, came home, and he's back at it again. Shout out to Guy Fisher, man.
Harlem left federal prison after nearly 40 years. Guy Fisher, the first black owner of the Apollo Theater at the height of the funk era, and a celebrity to black New Yorkers in the 1970s. His association with heroin kingpin Nicky Barnes landed him a life sentence without parole in 1983. But Fisher flipped the script, earning a historic 4 academic degrees in prison, writing 9 books, and mentoring dozens of inmates. Now he's ready to tell his remarkable redemption story, and one of the baddest women to ever grace the stage is making it happen. Joining me now is actress, producer, director, the incomparable, invincible, and whatever other adjective I can think of, Debbie Allen. And of course, the real godfather of Harlem, Dr. Guy Fisher, PhD. Guy Fisher, let me ask you, is your story one of regret because of all that you involved in Harlem, or is it one of redemption to tell people no matter what, they can take a bad situation and redeem themselves?
I think, in terms of what you just asked me, I think that there is no remorse in terms of the fact of what I have achieved while incarcerated. Plus, it opened my eyes to helping the youth of America, as opposed to me being a victim of selling poison to the youth of America, which was, as you know as well as I know, a horrible situation. But at the same time, here and now, I'm looking at the future and the youth of tomorrow. They are so smart now. I have to even check myself to say, damn, how old was I before I learned what they're talking about right now? So in answer to your question, I have to say that my incarceration opened several other doors for me to be what's embedded deep inside me.
And when it came to helping individuals, and I reached out to Debbie Allen, and I said, Debbie, I need books, and I need to be able to write stories. But without being able to do those things, I'd have still been sitting here with a college degree, with the PhD, because I told myself from the very beginning I was never going to spend the rest of my life in jail.